Microplastics are in your blood, your brain, even your fat cells right now. You didn't choose it, you didn't feel it, but it's affecting your hormones, your metabolism, and your gut. And nobody's telling you how to get them out. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the exact protocol to flush plastic particles out of your body using a simple, natural detox plan. No gimmicks, no BS. If you care about your liver, your hormones, or your future health, this is the one detox you cannot afford to skip. Let's dive right in. Microplastics are fragments smaller than 5 millimeters, but the most dangerous ones are even smaller. They're called nanoparticles. Unfortunately, these are now in the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, and even the sea salts you sprinkle on dinner. Recent studies have found microplastics in human placenta, breast milk, lung tissue, the bloodstream, the brain, and the liver, and also in the testicles of males, leading to infertility and low testosterone. They're very dangerous because they're small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, which gets stored in your brain. They disrupt mitochondrial function, depleting your body of energy, which also leads to weight gain. They interfere with hormones like estrogen, insulin, and testosterone. They damage the gut lining in the gut microbiome, leading to leaky gut and even autoimmune conditions. And overall, they're creating low-grade inflammation, especially in fat tissue. These microplastics are called endocrine-disrupting chemicals, EDCs, and I talk about them in depth in chapter 5 of my latest book, Metabolic Freedom. You see, they mimic hormones and block real ones from actually working. Microplastics are fat soluble. They're also called lipophilic. The term lipophilic means fat loving. These toxins love your fat cells. When they enter your body through breathing, drinking, eating, even touching your skin, these lipophilic toxins, the microplastics, trigger a pathway in your body that's known for survival. Always remember this, the body's number one priority is survival. It will do everything possible in the moment to survive, even if that leads to disease and symptoms later on. So with that in mind, when these toxins, the microplastics, enter your body, it triggers a pathway called PPAR gamma. You don't really need to know that pathway, but what you do need to know is that when this pathway is triggered, it signals to your body and your metabolism, hey, we have all of these microplastics floating around in the bloodstream. We do not want it to enter your vital organs and kill you right away. Let's turn on this pathway, PPAR gamma, and shuttle those microplastics, the toxins, out of the bloodstream and put them where? In your fat cells, your adipocytes. That's because of survival. The solution to pollution is dilution, and your body is so smart and sophisticated that it will create larger fat cells for those toxins to go into the microplastics. And if you run out of room, it creates new fat cells. This, of course, leads to weight gain, but it also leads to weight loss resistance. This is a huge reason why so many people eat clean, they exercise, maybe even cut calories, but they end up losing some weight and gaining it back. This is called weight loss resistance. You see, every time you start to burn fat for fuel, which is what we want to do, but if those fat cells are loaded with microplastics, here's what happens. You burn fat cells, which your metabolism can do. You dump these microplastics and your body sees that you have a whole bunch being dumped in your bloodstream, and it cannot burn those microplastics. So it reabsorbs them and it remembers, look, every time we burn fat, we dump microplastics, it goes into the bloodstream, it could harm the body. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna slow down fat loss. This is how you create weight loss resistance. And most importantly, microplastics damage the phospholipid bilayer. What is that? That is the membrane around every single cell inside of your body. You have 37 trillion cells and every cell has a lipid layer, a protective layer called the cell membrane. This is the bodyguard of the cell. This is where your hormones connect to nutrients, oxygen, and it tells your cells to produce energy, burn fat, feel good. When that becomes embedded with microplastics, which creates inflammation, the membrane that surrounds the cells now become rigid and inflamed, where good things cannot get into the cell, bad things like toxins cannot get out of the cell, then you have disease. The liver has a huge role here, as it usually does with everything inside of the body, because it helps to detoxify these toxins, but it can't really break them down. So they stay stuck in bile, which is what your liver produces, and then it recirculates and auto-intoxicates the body. What's the result of all of this? A metabolism that shuts down, brain fog, insulin resistance, weight gain and weight loss resistance, liver stress, and hormonal imbalance. So what can you do? The key here is to regenerate cell membranes, and you do this with a specific fat. As I mentioned, microplastics damage the outer layer of your cells, the cell membrane, making them leaky and inflamed. There's a specific fat that rebuilds these cell membranes faster than any fat out there. It's called phosphatidylcholine, PC for short. You see, phosphatidylcholine is the building block of that cell membrane. It helps to restore integrity and detox function at a cellular level. So the best source of phosphatidylcholine is liposomal phosphatidylcholine supplements. This has advanced bioavailability. It's one of the first things I put my clients on, and I personally take it every single morning. I use a company called Body Bio. They have a PC oil, and I recommend starting out with 1 teaspoon a day for 7 days and working your way up to 1 tablespoon a day a few weeks in. When you do this on a consistent basis, it's going to rebuild cell membranes faster, restoring the gatekeepers of your metabolism, and it's going to help your body detox these microplastics more efficiently. Now, you could also get phosphatidylcholine from certain foods. Egg yolks, for example, especially pastured organic egg yolks, are the highest natural food source of choline. 1 large yolk has about 250 milligrams of choline, especially this phosphatidylcholine. It's best eaten soft boiled or soft scrambled. The runnier, the better. Beef liver is a second option here. It's one of the most concentrated sources of choline and phosphatidylcholine. 3 ounces provides about 350 milligrams of choline. It's also rich in B vitamins that support methylation and detox. Methylation is kind of like the gears and switches of your cells. And then we have chicken liver, similar to beef liver, slightly milder taste. High in PC oil, high in vitamin B12, excellent source for cellular repair and hormonal support. Other notable food sources are going to be grass-fed butter and cream, salmon, and sardines. So you want to get in these healthy whole foods with a high concentration of PC oil. Consider supplementing with PC oil, but you also want to remove the bad fats that are damaging the cells as well to help you detox the microplastics faster. That's what I'm going to talk about next. So replace the bad fats with good fats. Microplastics ride in on processed foods, especially seed oils, which come in plastic bottles. These seed oils are already inflammatory when they're processed, not to mention you put them in a bottle and they start to retain a lot of these microplastics. So these seed oils are going to be the following 8 oils that you want to remove or reduce from your diet. We have canola oil, which is called rapeseed oil in the United Kingdom. We have corn oil and cottonseed oil, sunflower, soybean, safflower oil, rice bran oil, and grapeseed oil. We want to replace those with healthier fats that help to rebuild those cell membranes along with the PC oil we just spoke about. These are going to be saturated fats and monounsaturated fats. So what are the saturated fats? We have coconut oil, butter, ghee, beef tallow, duck fat, lard from healthy pig sources. Then we have monounsaturated fats like avocado oil and olive oil. You want to make sure you get those fats in a glass bottle, ideally a dark glass bottle if it's the olive oil and avocado oil. This works because these stable anti-inflammatory fats, they help to push out the microplastics and oxidized lipids from cell membranes and make room for the phosphatidylcholine to rebuild them. The next step in your protocol is to activate cellular cleanup processes called autophagy and mitophagy. What this means is the following, and I take a deep dive into autophagy and mitophagy in chapter 8 of Metabolic Freedom. Think of it as your refrigerator. Visualize your refrigerator. You open up the fridge and you see all of these groceries. They all have an expiration date. What if you let all of the groceries inside of your refrigerator expire? And instead of throwing them into the trash, you kind of just shove them towards the back of the fridge, buy new fresh groceries, put them in front of the expired groceries, and close that refrigerator door and then open it up the next day. What are you going to see? That's going to be a toxic environment. Disease will manifest in that environment. Well, guess what? Your cells, your human body is like that refrigerator. You have cells, mitochondria, proteins that all have expiration dates on them. Autophagy and mitophagy is the process of getting rid of these expired cells that are not burning fat, that are not producing energy, fixing them, cleaning them up. It's like Pac-Man going within your cells to clean out the junk. So this happens at a cell level called autophagy, then it happens at a mitochondrial level called mitophagy. Look, your body is so smart, it was designed to heal itself and clean itself. So we want to follow certain conditions which activates autophagy and mitophagy. How do you do that? Fasting is my favorite way to do that. Again, chapter 8 of Metabolic Freedom takes a deep dive into fasting. If you simply followed an 18-6 daily intermittent fasting schedule with a 24-hour fast once a week, you will achieve some really good autophagy and mitophagy. How does that work? That means 18 hours out of a 24-hour period, you're fasted. You're just having water, some sea salt, coffee, tea, no food. You're allowing this cleaning process to occur for 18 hours. Then you have a 6-hour eating window where you have 2 to 3 meals within that 6-hour eating window. Maybe that looks like 12 to 6 p.m. eating window, and then 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. the next day, fasting window. Doing that most days works really well. Then you want to enhance this by doing a 24-hour fast once a week where you essentially either go breakfast to breakfast or lunch to lunch or dinner to dinner once per week, 24 hours without food. Not only does this activate autophagy, it activates mitophagy. Now, there's some other things you can do to activate autophagy and mitophagy. Strength training and burst exercises are a great way to do this as well. Heat therapy like sauna, whether it's dry, steamed, or infrared saunas are going to activate autophagy and mitophagy. And lastly, a supplement called urolithin A, well, I should say a compound called urolithin A, which is a postbiotic, and they have tremendous research on this compound, this company called Timeline Nutrition, on what it does to activate mitophagy within 30 days. It's super cool. So I take about 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams of urolithin A from Timeline, and it works really well. And I'll drop a link with the 20% coupon code for that product if you want to go check it out. The next thing you want to do is support the liver to help eliminate microplastics through bile production. As I mentioned earlier, your liver produces a green substance called bile. Bile breaks down fat. It also helps to detoxify. Microplastics bind to bile. Again, they're lipophilic and bile has fat. But if your liver is backed up, those microplastics get reabsorbed, defeating the whole purpose here. So you want to support your liver. You want to love your liver. And in Metabolic Freedom, I talk a lot about supporting the liver. I discuss bitters for the liver. Incorporate bitter-rich foods to stimulate healthy bile production to help eliminate those microplastics. These are going to be arugula, artichokes, apple cider vinegar, organic coffee. Yeah, great news for coffee drinkers out there. I use Purity Coffee over at ketocampcoffee.com. Use the coupon code KETOCAMP for 15% off. Then we have lemons and limes, radicchio, milk thistle, ginger. You could do milk thistle tea or ginger tea. These are all liver supports. And you could consider taking a high-quality binder. And if you do take a high-quality binder, you want to make sure you take it about an hour to 2 hours away from any food supplements or medication because it could bind those up as well. I typically take and recommend binders right before bed because your liver is really working overtime between 2 and 4 a.m. When you take a high-quality binder, it sits in the gut and collects those toxins, the microplastics. And I'll drop a link for my favorite binder in the notes down below. Sweating, as I mentioned, through sauna, exercise, or just being outside in the Miami heat where I live will help with detoxifying some of these microplastics and keeping your body hydrated through high quality water like spring water and doing things to move your lymphatic system, which is going to be movement, sprinting, rebounding, dry brushing the right way. The last thing I want to mention here are the common top sources of these microplastics. When you drink out of a plastic water bottle, you're getting a huge dose of these microplastics. So whenever possible, drink out of glass. I have 2 glass bottles right here on my desk. Glass water bottles are the way to go. Next, you want to avoid using plastic Tupperware. When you store food, especially food that has fat, in plastic Tupperware, the food absorbs the microplastics. So use glass Tupperware. Never microwave in plastic Tupperware. Never microwave, period, but for sure not in plastic Tupperware. You want to also make sure if you use a cutting board in your kitchen, not a plastic cutting board because you get a whole bunch of microplastics in your food. Instead, it's a wooden block cutting board. Look, this isn't about fear. It's about taking your control over your body and detoxing them from these microplastics. Microplastics are everywhere, but your body is brilliant. God designed your body to be self-healing. Give it the tools, remove the interference, it will heal. When you do this the right way, you'll notice in just a matter of days to weeks, more energy, better sleep, clearer skin, balanced hormones, more fat loss, and no more fatigue and brain fog. You see, you can't live in a plastic-free world, but you can live in a resilient body. Your cells are always listening. It's time to clean out the house. Now, I'm going to address the common questions you submitted on this topic. Before I do, if you want to learn more about healthy foods, healthy meal plans, and a fasting schedule that really helps with fat loss, there's a 7-day plan I put together that helps you lose 10 pounds in 7 days. It also supports your liver, supports everything we spoke about in this lesson. And I have a free ebook you could read in less than 30 minutes to apply this plan. If you head over to burnfatbook.com, or if you're watching on YouTube, scan the QR code on your screen, download that free ebook, check it out, burn some fat, feel good. I'm also doing a speaking tour right now for my latest book, Metabolic Freedom, which is a New York Times bestseller. I'm doing a keynote tour across the US and the Middle East. And we're doing book signings, giveaways, meet and greets. I'd love to meet you in person. Head over to benazadi.com/events to see my upcoming speaking gigs. Now, let's get to your questions. What is the best time of day to take phosphatidylcholine PC oil for maximum benefit? I take it first thing in the morning, so I get it out of the way. So that's when I take it, and that's what I would recommend for you. Do I need to avoid plastic packaging and bottled water completely for this to work? It's nearly impossible to avoid plastic packaging. Even my organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef comes in plastic, so you can't avoid that. For the water bottles, you can choose glass over plastic. That is important as much as possible. The goal here is not 100% avoidance. It's reduction in your exposure, but also enhancing your detox pathways and regenerating those cell membranes so they detox the microplastics quicker and more efficiently. Can I take binders and liver supplements at the same time, or should they be spaced out? You don't want to take any other supplement, food, or medication close to your binder. Your binder will bind that. So at least an hour away from any other food, medication, or supplements. What blood test or biomarkers can I use to track progress during a microplastic detox? Stay tuned, because in a future lesson that's coming out soon, I'm going to talk all about testing. I'm going to do my own testing and before and after results, so I'll reveal that in an upcoming lesson. What are the signs that microplastic detox is actually working in my body? You're gonna feel better, have more energy, you're gonna burn fat, feel better recovered after sleep, less brain fog, so more enhanced cognitive abilities, and you're just gonna feel better. Your symptoms will become reduced. I want you to pay attention to that. That is the lesson. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you apply it. Share this with somebody you know. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you love this lesson and you want to learn more about fasting for 2 days, 48 hours to really achieve the autophagy and the mitophagy I spoke about earlier, then I put together a video going through a timeline on what happens inside of your body when you go 48 hours without food. You're going to be blown away. Here's a clip from that lesson. Then click the video on the screen to watch it next, and I'll see you in that next lesson. At the 12 to 14 hour mark, 2 major benefits start to happen. Number 1, you complete digestion. It takes about 14 hours to complete digestion, and it takes a lot of energy to digest food. So there's a process called energy diversion that is turned on around this time frame